I'm Sarkasi. I'm a painter. Z is my nickname. Media that I use now is Batik. Orchid was the first sort of drawing that I do. And I find that lots of satisfaction doing that. And then slowly it builds up. It builds up not only just my hand and how I feel from what I see, but it starts to go out from myself, and to be much more realistic, how I feel. So line is not a straight line. A line can be any line. Then slowly from natural, I go into, shifting from that, go into more abstract work. I love botanic garden because I think I find peace in botanic garden, especially very early in the morning. Sometimes back, I do come to botanic garden every morning. I will walk around, look at the plants, and talk to the leaves, and so it's so peaceful and it's so nice that I will never forget, and I will always come again and again from time to time. You don't see any red, yellow, and blue underneath the tree, but the flowers come with red, yellow, orange, and so on. So how do it come? So these are the anatomy of nature. So this is the palette of nature, which nature has given us the opportunity as to look at beauty of the color. The painting View of Life is made of 18 panels of 1.2 meter by 1.3 meter each. I was inspired by my visit to Bali when I saw the paddy field there. It reminded me of how Singapore used to be, a swampland before transforming into a vibrant city. I love nature and I love color. When I was in Bali, I could see how they appreciate nature, how they paint flora and fauna. This inspired me to do something like that so that people could see the beauty in nature. I began to develop the interest and experimenting with batik in the 70s. I went to an exhibition at Raffles Hotel and was shocked to see an Italian artist using batik as his medium. I asked myself, why was a foreign artist using our traditional art form from this region? I should be the one doing it. It is our culture, something we are familiar. To explore this art form, I traveled to Indonesia and Malaysia. I learned from trial and error, as people were not so generous with sharing their technique. When I do my big batik work, I usually do it in Indonesia. This movement artwork is 1.7 meter by 5 meters. This work is about expressing the movement of nature without interfering with one another. It is to further develop and excel without hurting the other. I imagine myself in the tunnel when painting this artwork. I feel that there are still movement and life in the darkness. I came from a split family and lived with my grandmother. Helped my grandmother selling batik when I was 4 or 5 years old. I left school at an early age and got nowhere to go. My friend owned an orchid garden and allowed me to stay there. I see orchids every day and I use charcoal to draw orchid at any paper that I can find. I made a living by sketching when I was 11. It seems like people like my sketches and buy my artwork.
It was then that it built my confidence. Yeah? So I draw orchids and I start to go to Botanic Garden, I go to Haw Par Villa, I go to Singapore River, but to sell my orchids flowers. There are certain times when there are not many people who buy flowers. I'll go to, for example, Chinatown, North Bridge Road, Geylang, to do the architecture of the old Singapore, and that is how I start to paint. And then I use watercolor. Then slowly I use oil and acrylic. And then from that naturalist painting, then I go to abstractions of what I feel from what I see. My own sort of a brush that I make from sponge, that is make me easier to apply it onto the material, especially at the bigger space. Yeah? When I'm painting, sometimes I forget whether to use yellow, even though I have decided that to use yellow earlier and I don't know what's next to use. But then I always relate it to my feeling. Why must I depend on that when I can have my own feeling and decide then what color it can be? Yeah? Every painting has got its own character, especially in Botanic Garden where you have a different environment. Yeah? Plants has got its own way of life. Yeah? They will just grow as they feel that it is necessary. Some plants like to go very high because they need more sunlight, but some plants are just on the ground. It's like creeper. Yeah? When I'm doing this painting at home, it will be different because different environment, different feeling, and different. So it gives you a different sort of character of how that's going to be. I always feel that my feeling is more important. To entertain my feeling is more important than entertaining somebody else. I believe I am quite close to the works and I just do what I feel. Whether they will understand or not, that is second sort of a thought. I was a naturalist. That means I paint what I see. But slowly, through times, when I continue doing, then I feel that it's more than just drawing from what I see. It is that how I feel and how do they feel and how it is benefits to the nature. So that's how I get my inspiration of abstractions of the nature.
Mother and Child series was inspired by my mother when she stayed with me.
Just a couple of months before she passed, she came to my place and stayed with me. And it was then that I was with her, breakfast, lunch and dinner. I will make a point that I will come back and be with her. So we love each other, even though we may not be staying together for donkey years, we love each other. And after she passed away, then I realized that all along she loves me and all along I love her. So what can I do as to have that feeling within me? And that is when I decided mother and child would be something which is significant. But at least what I can do is to tell her my feelings towards her. As you look very closely to the painting, there is no mouth. So, love is not something that you say, I love you. Love is not to be spoken or not to be told, Love is something which is within yourself, and that is true love is. Saya tidak menganggap pertemuan itu sampai waktu perpisahan. Biarpun dia sudah tidak ada bersama saya, ia tidak menjadi satu perpisahan. Ia masih tetap di hati saya. Dan itu tadinya daripada lisan, daripada mulut dan daripada perasaan. Jadi bila kita mempunyai perasaan cinta itu akan berkubur sama kita. Dan dia tidak akan berhenti. It's like satu perjalanan, tidak ada nokta. I mean, that is me, I never felt that I'm unhappy or I felt that disappointed in that way, that I feel. Whatever situation, however and wherever, it is always sunlight for me. It is so fantastic that I think every inch of my life, it's so beautiful. I'm always looking at the brighter side of the day. I go on. Life is no full stop. Whatever we experience, it is just another achievement, and it will never stop until the end of the world. For example, even if I pass on, there are others who will continue. There are others who will feel the same way as I do. Of course, now I cannot see them and I cannot feel that they have the same feeling. But I believe at one time later on, there are people, there are artists who will think that way. What is the ingredients of importance with nature to human beings?